Hello, hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Author Spotlight. Hey, it's the host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Excited to be with you. I get the honor and the privilege to go behind the scenes with best-selling authors from across the globe. Today, I have my brother from another mother, Ivan the Inspire, is in the building. People say hello to everyone.
What's up, guys?
Awesome, awesome. Ivan inspires. Ivan, tell the people a little bit about yourself and what you do, man.
I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a father of five. I'm an author. And, just to give you a little background in terms of, writing is concerned, I was never a writer before. I never enjoyed reading books. I didn't read my first book until I was in my second year in college, actually. I failed my GED 2 times. Dropped out of high school. And so, when I finally picked up my first book, which was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it kind of opened me up. It just did a whole shift. And it was one of those things where I realized, wow, I can read, because I really felt like I was a little dyslexic. And for the most part, it just got me to where I am today. So in terms of writing and who I am, it's always been just like kind of just going with the flow and just trying to perfect exactly what I'm trying to build, which is just a high level of growth.
Okay. It inspires, because, people are thinking like, you said Ivan inspires. Was that correct? That wasn't a typo. No, I didn't mess that up. When we look at the inspiration part, let's first go ahead and share with them the name of your book and why did you write this as your first book? And then we'll get into the inspires part.
Sure. Well, Head Start to Riches has everything to do with the word Head Start. The premise of the book is to give your children or your family a little push forward. Give them a little something that will allow them to get to the next step. I think a lot of people are more focused with just sending them to college, which is great. That's obviously a head start, but I think people should take it another step further. I feel like a lot of people kind of drop the ball in that aspect, and a lot of people are just kind of looking to push them out of the house as soon as possible and just carry on with their life. They want to go on vacation and whatnot. So it capitalizes on generational wealth, and generational wealth has everything to do with sacrifice. And a lot of people don't realize the selflessness that's required for that to happen. You have to understand that you may not be alive when the wealth is actually created. You may have been the person that planted the seed. So a lot of the book talks about shifting your perspective and taking it from a me and a my to an our perspective, and from a yesterday mentality to a tomorrow mentality. So there's a lot of gems in there, and it's one of those things where I'm really passionate about it. I didn't write the book with the intent to sell. It was always meant to be given away for free. So, you guys are welcome to get a copy on my website, actually.
You know what, Ivan, when I hear that, for those who are listening to this, because like I said, this is what this show is about. This is not Ivan Inspires on the stage where you can't get it in contact with him. You can't meet him in the backstage or in the green room. You can't hear him after, you went and you heard him do a TED talk or whatnot. You couldn't, or you saw him at a corporate event or whatever it is, and you can't talk to him. This is Ivan just pouring out to us what's really on his heart and what inspires him to go out and help other people. And so for those who are listening to this, I want to go a little bit deeper into what Ivan is sharing with us. What are some areas that you can be selfless in? Because it's delayed gratification is what Ivan is talking about. And for that, and typically that's the Achilles heel for so many people, because they can't forward think. They can't get beyond their trip or their 2 weeks of vacation in a year, or I'm not going to be here, so it doesn't even matter. That type of mind. You have to be selfless. And when you're doing a book, you have to be selfless as well. And Ivan is practicing what he's preaching, because he's coming to give the information for you guys free. Now, I'm not saying condone free all the time, but I'm just saying, but he's so passionate about this that he wants to see lives change. And Ivan, thank you for doing that, man. And
no problem. I honestly feel like I stepped into my purpose. I can't say I was 100% selfish before, but you know, you're thinking about you and your own. But as I dived into that, I can't say it's an industry, but as I dived into that, I don't even have the words for it, but once I started thinking about generational wealth and teaching people all financial literacy, I just started realizing that some of this stuff, it could be sold, but you know, the people that need it most don't have the money for it, you know? So I feel like, you know, as long as it's put out there, you paid it forward and you did your part, you know? So that was one of the reasons why I decided to self-publish. I wasn't even concerned with trying to get a book deal. All I felt like was that it was going to be an opportunity to delay the message from going out. So I intend to write several other books. I have actually since then, but that particular book, I was like, man, this has to go straight to the public. It will also show people my willingness to share information without wanting anything in return. So I just feel like there should be at least one book in you that's worth giving away for free. I think that makes sense.
Woo, my man is dropping, as my man John Lee Dumas talks about, my man is dropping value bombs on us, people. And so just think about, what is it that you have to offer? Your pain is your product. The pain of knowing, as we was off air and Ivan Inspires was able to share with me, he wished his parents would have had the book. I wish my parents would have had the book. And I know some of you who are listening to this right now, you wish that your parents had it. But okay, we can't do anything about that. But now Ivan Inspires has given us the opportunity to be able to pay it forward, not only for our families, but for others, by sharing the message of this wonderful book and what the gems are and the jewels that's in here that's able to create generational wealth. It's something about not starting at rock bottom. And I want to go to mentality, because some of us, even in certain cultures, have a negative connotation when it even comes to people who actually are thinking futuristic and preparing and having trust funds and things lined up in preparation for generations to come. We actually make fun of or belittle those who come from an environment where someone thought about them, even though they didn't even get an opportunity to actually meet them in person. So I want us to go back and let's look at, for those who are tuned in, let's get rid of those limited beliefs, because you can't actually grasp or grab a hold of something or create opportunities for people if you are repelling success. And so this is what we're talking about with Ivan Inspires here, is we can't repel success and at the same time think that we're going to have a hold of success. So if you're the type, and I've been there before and cracked that same joke, oh, you know, I had to get mine from the mud, or I had to, you know, or that person, the only reason they're doing something is because, you know, they must be a trust fund baby. In certain communities, that's, you belittling people there. Where the key is, why wouldn't you want to have some trust fund babies? Why wouldn't you want to pay it forward? Why wouldn't you create some structures that could benefit generations to come? So Ivan, let's go into the mindset, because I can tell that you have worked and you have the mental fortitude to create wealth, but also the mental fortitude to understand the bigger impact for all mankind and humanity. So let's talk about how you have redefined or had a paradigm shift for yourself to come from those humble beginnings to being where you're doing philanthropy work now to change people's lives for generations to come.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's one of those things where I feel like not only has the money and the assets and whatnot have not been passed down, but what has been passed down is the negative mentality, you know, as far as having a real negative relationship with money. Just the association alone is just like you said, it's repelled. So when you do learn something and you want to teach someone, instantly, if they were raised around a negative parent, they're like, whoa, you know, that's risky, or they're extremely skeptical, and they'll give you so many reasons as to why it's not going to work. So I feel like the first thing you want to do is work on the mentality. As far as having the shift, for me, the biggest part was when I read that book, like I said, not only did I know anything about financial literacy, but I didn't read. You know, reading wasn't done at home. I didn't have bedtime stories at night from my mother. You know, no disrespect to my parents, but you know, reading wasn't cool. You know, I grew up in the Bronx, New York. Your reputation was everything. And I was more concerned with just hanging out with my friends and chasing girls and whatnot. So I dodged reading. like I said, all throughout childhood. I don't know how I made it to college. Well, what happened was when I went to high school, I missed so many classes. My mother just took me out and put me into the GED program. It took me, like I said, 3 times to pass. And I felt like such a loser because my huge crowd of friends were finally gone. So when I did decide to go back to, to doing something with myself, I decided this time I'm actually going to try. And then when I went into college, I finally picked up that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It allowed me to kind of think about all these things that just were in the back of my mind, but they never came out, because no one in my circle was talking about that type of stuff. And more importantly, it gave me the opportunity to say, listen, let me try this out. So to make a long story short, I dived into entrepreneurship. No one in my family, no one in my circle, not one friend. I didn't know not one business owner, nobody. So there was no, and mentorship and coaches was not an option. The internet wasn't big like that at the time. So a lot of it was just literally falling on my face, one venture after another. And at some point, every time I picked up a new gem, I'm like, man, I have to share this with someone. I have to tell my friends. I got to tell my family. And instantly it was rejected. And it didn't take long for me to realize, like, wow, I'm completely alone in this. There's no one for me to connect with. It's different now. Everybody has the internet, so there are groups. But at the time, you feel like you're alone. So I was just kind of gathering the information, gathering all the expertise and whatnot. And I knew at some point I had to put it out, but I had to do it in such a way where it wasn't going to go over people's heads. So I did decide that when I was going to write my first book, I wanted to make it so simple and so easy to read, just the way Rich Dad Poor Dad was, that the person with a 3rd grade reading level could read the book and understand it. And I also made it so that it was a dialogue, as if you're having a conversation with the other person. That's how I felt like Rich Dad was able to kind of penetrate my stubborn mind. And I just felt like it's the way that, you should approach certain subjects. Some things can't be done the old fashioned way. You have to hit it from a different approach. Just like telling the truth. Everybody knows the truth is very, very ugly. And the best way to kind of like give the truth is to say it in a joke, So like, that's what I mean. Like, if you could kind of figure out the message and put it in a way where it's going to be accepted and not repelled, I feel like as a teacher, you're doing your job. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the mentality. It was just a matter of kind of putting it out there and making sure that the people that read it were able to actually understand it and appreciate it rather than repelling it.
You know what, Ivan, when you're sharing that, I want those who are listening, those who are aspiring authors or whatnot out there, or those who are writing content right now, keep in mind what Ivan Inspires just shared with us, the importance of thinking about those who are reading the materials that you're putting out. I think that the client or those who are purchasing the books can be looked at as an afterthought, where they should be ahead of you as far as keeping your vision on what will allow for them to have a great experience, what will allow for them to be able to not just read through it, but actually finish the book, not just read a page or two and quit, and then it got dust mites all over it or whatnot over the years because they didn't do anything with it. It doesn't do any good if the people aren't able to read and digest and are able to execute or implement the things that you're creating. So having the customer in mind is a brilliant strategy that Ivan Inspires has just shared with us. And I want those who listen, because typically people are right just only for themselves. And let's take out another gem that Ivan Inspires shared with us of the importance of the best way to find out how to write your book is by looking at some of the things that you benefited from or that you were able to glean from one of your favorite books. So that means even if you're someone like Ivan Inspires, who was like a cat with water when it came to reading, by taking the opportunity to read, he was able to find a style or a genre or a type of book that connected with him. And he wanted other people to experience that same thing. So that allowed for him to be able to, when he created his content, to benefit from someone who was a credible authority who have already had success. So my friends, success leaves clues. Listen to what Ivan Inspires is sharing with us as well. And I know some people are thinking, hey, I get it. Ivan, we get it 3 times. GD, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, Sharon Lecter, the whole nine. We see the mind shift that you had. But okay, my brother, I understand that. But with your busy schedule and all that you have doing, you said books, plural. So give us, how were you able to create content for this book? Did you get a ghostwriter? Did you record yourself? Did you just take off and have blocked off time? What were some of the strategies that you used to create content for your book?
This was pretty easy for me because first of all, this is the second edition. The first edition was written out of a lot of pain. Now, the first edition had a lot to do with life insurance, okay? The second edition has a lot more. But just to talk about the first, I was an insurance agent, and we would go door to door. Now, I don't know if you've been in the insurance industry, but there are times where you'll space out your schedule and you'll have several appointments. And if there's ever a time where a lot of people cancel or no show, you're stuck between, let's say you had an appointment every hour, you could be stuck from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. in another town with nothing to do. And you could, drive around knocking on doors, or you could just find something else to do. So out of all the pain and frustration, I started writing. I started telling everything that I really wanted to tell the customer to their face, but I did it on paper, because it's not easy telling people what you see in the household. For example, let's say right now you go to someone's house, you do an assessment, you realize they have no insurance, no coverage, which is, it is what it is. You show them something based on their budget. They say they can't afford it. You find the opportunity, find the money, you see that they have it, and they still say they can't afford it. But then you look around their house, you can't help but see a stack of lottery tickets. You see all the soda stacked. I mean, just things that could, in my opinion, should not be prioritized when it comes to insurance. Even if I'm offering you something for $30 a month or $50 a month, there's no excuse. It's just a matter of priorities. So when you're sitting with the head of the household right there, and you're gonna kind of hit him between the eyes and make him feel very uncomfortable in front of his wife, or vice versa, sometimes you tend to hold back. You should come out full throttle, but sometimes you hold back. So I let a lot of it out on the paper. I never tried to write a book. I was just trying to express myself. And then the way I think, what allows me to come up with ways to kind of influence people and make them understand, I always come up with analogies. So I came up with a really good analogy, and that allowed me to build a book around it. Because as I'm writing it, I thought, wow, this is too good just to leave in the book. So the first book, like I said, had a big premise with life insurance and financial literacy. And writing the first one planted a huge seed for me to go back and not fix it, but to enhance it so that there's no excuse. So the second book is like a no excuse approach. It has something for everyone. So again, I feel like everybody starts for different reasons. Mine came out of pain and frustration, and it also came out of my sincere willingness to help people and make them understand. Because just to touch on life insurance one more time, if you ever find out the stats, people just have not been taught about the benefits of it. They don't understand it. And, I'm not going to go into life insurance. I don't even sell life insurance anymore. I just want you guys to understand that there's a big gap when it comes to what people understand that it can do and the benefits. And I feel like all the books out there that did approach the topic was extremely boring. So I figured, man, if I went into someone's household and they understood the value of it, half the battle was already won. So again, I was trying to go ahead and educate at the same time as, inspiring people to think of someone other than themselves.
And you know what? That was big for me in my life. I had a good friend and actually a business coach who was able to share that understanding and made it hit me from something that he dealt with his brother-in-law. And it was just like, wow. And he put it in the book and how it would have helped that family so much. And him and his wife were, thank God, was, positioned to be able to handle it. But the look on his brother-in-law's face, knowing that if he could have just had a piece of life insurance, that it wasn't about him knowing that he was about to pass away. It was knowing that he could have had his family in better position and shape, but he didn't know that that dreaded day was going to come that quick or that soon. And he kept putting it off. I'm going to get it, or I got a sales position. So when he was rolling in dough, he was rolling the dough. But then when he wasn't, he wasn't. But he could have at least had just that increment of income that was designated for that life insurance that would have just made a tremendous difference for him being able to leave in peace with his family being all right. But he had a brother-in-law, but other people don't have a rich brother-in-law and all that. And it's some families with a stressful situation. And I know personally from my family with a stepdad passing away not too many years ago, of what that looked like with my mother. And I'm going to share this with you all because, like I said, this is not a life insurance. This is just about preparation with life, period. I was able to share with my mom, and it was a struggle because it was somebody I looked at as a dad with my stepdad and whatnot. We had a great relationship. But I said, yes, you mourning. Yes, it's tough. But I'm going to tell you something. And y'all look at me in my face when I tell you this. You rather mourn with money than without.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna just let that marinate like a good T-bone steak from Texas right there. You know what I'm saying? So, if you think you got some problems, you think you got, because like I know, if someone has passed away or you're dealing with that, you don't have time to mourn immediately because you got to have the services planned. You got to have, if it's obituary, if you spiritual or whatnot, you got responsibilities with the state, passing on what their accounts, all this stuff you're responsible for, and that you got to know where insurance policies are, if you have it or if you don't. And even though you're grieving, people still want to get paid. You still got bills and things that's coming. And so when we look at priorities, Ivan, I know you're creating more content and you're still moving forward with this. And you did a great job with this book and the things that you're doing with this. But what is your future? What do you hope for the legacy to be for Ivan Inspires?
Well, I'm knee deep in it right now. One thing led to another, and right now, I moved on to hold it. Can you? Oh, I'm sorry. I had a call. I just disconnected it. I transitioned on to financial literacy for children. Okay. Like I said, a lot of people have a negative mind state when it comes to money, and I feel like a lot of it just has to do with the fact that you're catching them too old. It's already embedded in them. I'm not saying that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's just a lot harder, and I feel like if you catch them very, very young, I mean like 7 years old, and you embed them with all the tools they need. And I'm not talking about like counting quarters and lemonade stands. And I'm talking about raising capital, pitching, acquisitions, real estate, like go into the adult stuff. Make it a part of their world. And the biggest thing is, how can you make that interesting? How can you make it fun for them so that they're engaged? So I actually created a board game, and it's not like the typical board game because, like I said, it deals with all the adult stuff. And it's not just a board game. I factored a curriculum around the board game. So it's for 16 weeks, and it's going to give your child a foundation to build on. It's not meant to stop. Once the curriculum is done and the course is over, you should at that point have a way to kind of constantly penetrate your child's mind indirectly. Because if you keep saying, hey, let's talk about money, the child doesn't want to think about that. But if you're playing a game, you can hit him from a different approach. It's almost like your child being sick. They're not going to take the medicine because it tastes nasty. So what do? You come up with a way of putting the medicine in their food. You might put it in their pudding, in their mashed potatoes or something. You sneak it in there. They don't realize it, but they're getting well at the same time. And you got their approval. Their engagement is up. And, so again, I'm very heavy into this. The book, the one that I had written wasn't just talking about the tools that you need as far as like all the lessons, but it was a matter of pushing everything towards your child and kind of creating like I would hate to say it, but like a purebred. You want to breed, like an entrepreneur, I should say. I feel like a lot of people that do go towards entrepreneurship, they don't realize what they're approaching. They don't realize the level of commitment that's required. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can kind of fall down and learn as you go. But if someone's prepped early on and understands what they're about to face, they can get prepared for it. So like I said, the earlier you start, the better. So again, you know, I created a wealth building program, and I'm going to continue to build products around that you know, initial game. The other books that I have written were children's books. Remember, you know, we were talking about me writing more. Again, I'm writing children's books because I feel like in order to penetrate an adult, I have to speak to the child, because adults don't want to hear it, you know. So if you're going to give your child the book, most case scenario, you'll be reading the book, you'll be learning indirectly. So that's my approach right now, to do kind of like, you know, a backdoor approach.
Hey, that zigzag method, man, you hitting them here and there or whatnot, but the key to it is just making sure that you get the approach. And, you know, when I'm listening to Ivan share with us, it's a part of it. It's not just having great content. I think what Ivan is illustrating to us is the importance of the psychology behind the methodology that he has. Some of us think, oh, I just got a great book. And what else? And just great content alone is not going to do it. You got to be able to get the book where it's in position or it's inside of mashed potatoes, whatever you need to do for your audience to be able to receive it. Because we all know that there are areas and things that we know what we should do right that we don't do. That's for all mankind. You know, everybody has something. And so I just want us to keep in mind what Ivan inspires to share with us of the importance of not only just doing something, but what is your why? If you do have a why, your pain could be your product. He came from a place of pain when he wrote it. What are some things that you are harboring, but you feel like that it's useless and you're not implementing and utilizing it to make someone else's life better, including your own? It can be therapeutic because now you're not just griping about it. You are solution oriented. You're creating a solution to be able to not only help yourself, but others that will come after you and for generations to come. Also, the importance of realizing that I can't just write great content without having a method of allowing people to be able to see it and view it where it's appeasing to the eye, or whether it comes through a third party, whether it comes to directly bringing it to them, or even if it's a story like you heard what I shared with you with the passing of my stepfather, where you have to learn through a travesty or some situation that happened in your life. That allows for me to share my story with you, so you hopefully won't have to go through what our family went through to experience that and realize the importance for that. So this is not us telling you that, oh my gosh, you know, because some cultures believe that if you talk about what we're talking about right now, you're jinxing someone. Yeah. Or you don't want to think about someone passing away. And so if you start talking about it, you know, you think that they're going to just drop dead immediately until, you know, the unthinkable happens. And then what you wouldn't face during a time of peace, unfortunately, you're dealing with during a time of turmoil. So these are some of the things that I've been able to glean and get out of Ivan Inspires, interview here today. And Ivan, I want you to share with the audience, because I know that some are thinking to themselves like, man, Ivan is hitting me with this, man. I hadn't thought about it. Or my wife, family is dealing with this. Or man, I'm getting older. Now I'm realizing those pair of J's, that's not the only way I can have the J's, but man, it don't make sense for me to have J's and not have, or have rims, or have that Louis Vuitton purse, or I'm going on the golf course, but I don't have any insurance. I can't keep faking this out, man. I need to do something. So Ivan, if you don't mind, please share with the people, how can they purchase your books? We'll have information in the show notes as well, but how can they connect with you on social media platforms if you have any handles? Just any events, board game, whatever you have, my friend, please share it at this time.
I appreciate it. Well, go to the website. It's Head Start, 2, riches.com. Okay, Head Start, 2, riches.com. There, not only will you be able to get access to the course and the board game and whatnot, but you'll also get the free book. It's all in one shot. My Facebook handle's the same, Instagram's the same. Everything's under, you know, Head Start to Riches. It makes it a lot more convenient for myself. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, there's no excuse. Read the book. You know, it'll probably take you 2.5 hours to read. I wrote it for a 3rd grader. And, you know, this is not about arrogance. I mean, I feel like I did my part in writing the book and paying for, you know, everything. Now it's your turn to just read it. I guarantee you'll get something out of it. I guarantee it'll increase some type of, you know, some type of inspiration that's going to draw you to want to do a little bit more. Everybody feels like they're doing enough. Some people feel like they're doing too much. They have like a mountain on their shoulders. And I just feel like people underestimate what they're capable of doing. When it comes to writing a book, I do encourage people to write a book of their own, because it will put a spark in you. And it may just be like just a very, very initial beginning that's going to get you to a whole nother place. I never had intent of writing other books. I never had intent of creating a game. I never intended to do anything with children. And now I'm in a whole nother industry. I don't care if I make a single dollar doing this. I feel great every morning. And it's just one of those things where you want to find your passion, you want to find your purpose. And sometimes you need to just write, you know, and that'll do it.
Woo, my man, I'm telling you, he's a change agent making a difference locally and globally. My man, Ivan Inspires. Man, we're truly grateful to have you on. He's the poster child. He's the poster child of what it is to make a difference, people. I mean, he saw something that he didn't feel right about. He knew that people could be positioned in a better place. He knew the environment and the thinking of the community that he came from. And he created, our company has a core value called win-wins. He created a win-win. Hey, I'm going to take on the investment. I'm going to write the content. I'm going to put it in a way that I know that no one won't have an excuse, because I care about you that enough that I don't want your mental blockage to hinder you from getting the information that I have for you that will make a difference, not only for you in your lifetime, but your family for generations to come. I don't know about you people, but I think we definitely can go to Head Start to Riches, the number 2, headstarttoriches.com. If the man has done all of this, at least we can do is go to the website and get the book. And not only get the book, but implement the things that we read in the book. And so, hey, thank you so much, Ivan Inspires, for coming on for Author Spotlight. Brother, man, we got to connect on some other things offline. I love your spirit. I love what you're doing. And I'm going to keep sharing this with as many people as possible, man, because I think this is a phenomenal job that you and your team doing. So thank you for coming on to Author Spotlight.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you so much for getting the word out. And I'm more than happy to connect with you as well.
Awesome. Awesome. For those who are tuned in, remember, if you won't change, be the change. Until next time, be blessed and be great.